Hello there. A group of parliamentarians has hit out at the UK government's plans for electric cars. As per usual, please like, subscribe and comment below. And when subscribing, please press the little bell, but also select the all option, or you won't get any notifications. Now, one of the big government programmes that is going to severely drain the nation's coffers is the drive to net zero carbon emissions. And one of the main planks to this is making drivers ditch their directly fossil-fuelled cars and replace them with indirectly fossil-fuelled cars, all at great expense to the state and to the person. Here's what Steve Baker MP said back in May. I'm increasingly concerned about the astronomical costs of the current net zero plans. If they were to be carried through to their logical conclusion, it would mean the end of the comfortable lifestyles we have enjoyed for generations. Only the well-heeled will be able to afford private cars or foreign holidays. Increasing numbers of people will be unable to take for granted heating their homes. And it's that last bit that should have us all paying attention, as we've already seen an uncomfortable divide developing between the rich and powerful and the rest of us as this pandemic proceeds. And we already know energy costs to heat our homes are going up in October. And here's what Lord Lilly had to say about the power needed to get those electric cars moving. By 2030, the extra electricity needed to power electric vehicles will still come from gas, so no saving in CO2. And the sheer stupidity of this rush to electric cars part of the agenda is highlighted in a report from the Fair Fuel for UK Motorists and UK Hauliers all-party parliamentary group that makes 7 practical recommendations for helping our transport system while lowering emissions so that you don't have to ban new petrol and diesel vehicles so urgently. And it also says in the Fair Fuel report that the government should immediately remove the threat of the 2030 ban on the sales of new petrol and diesel vehicles. With Tory MP and chair of the APPG, Craig McKinley, saying, "It's fine for the super rich to buy their Tesla, but that's not the case for the just about managing majority who elected the Conservative government." Instead, says the report, they should incentivise the move to clean fuels by motivating industry and entrepreneurs to develop technologies that will not impact adversely on the economy, drivers or businesses. Craig McKinley also said, "The only thing that's protecting the government from electoral harm on this matter is the seeming Westminster consensus and lack of courage to stand up to the climate fanatics and say, enough. Sooner or later the public will rebel against this madness. Better to have the rational debate now before we fully embark on a failing and expensive experiment." I bet Carrie won't like this one bit and will shred Boris's copy of the report before he gets to look at it. Craig McKinley went on to say, "In producing probably one of the most authoritative reports on the subject ever written, we have listened to thousands of road users, from cyclists, bikers, motorists, through to our vital frontline and essential, much undermined commercial vehicle drivers. We have put together a range of recommendations to government that are both constructive and economically viable to help reduce emissions without hurting 37 million drivers or the UK's economy." And 12 other MPs, like John Redwood, as well as Lord Lilly, have all lined up behind him to rubbish the government's electric car agenda. Here's what one Labour MP, Graham Stringer, had to say. My constituents are already facing big pressures on their household budgets. Now the prospect of a ban on petrol and diesel cars threatens to make driving the pastime of a privileged few. The government urgently needs to rethink this out-of-touch policy, which will be bad for working families and potentially bad for the environment too. And then, as I've pointed out before, there's the loss of tax revenue to be considered. That has to be replaced, and you can bet the target will be those same electric-driven cars, and maybe even taxing the much-anticipated surge in the number of bikes on the roads. Now, there are quite a few all-party parliamentary groups, and they are informal setups with no actual official status, but they do inevitably carry some weight and influence. And this one, On Fair Fuel, is looking for solutions for lower carbon emissions. It's not ignoring them. But it obviously thinks the government's current sledgehammer approach will do more harm than good to our transport system. But wobbly Boris will almost certainly be pushed around by the eco-lobby and those with vested interests in certain renewables, especially with the upcoming COP26 climate change conference in Glasgow. And those eco-warriors would rather like to see us all live in caves, lighting candles, eating boiled pulses and insects, while only walking and cycling everywhere. But while we do that, some notable big fossil fuel burners and massive net positive carbon producers like China and India and even Germany will carry on regardless. And the UK levelling its economy into the dirt to do the right thing, but only end up tinkering around the edges, will help no one. Now, before I get to the next item, I just want to say a massive thank you to all my Patreon and PayPal supporters, as well as those that do buy a mug, with my mug on it, link in the descriptions box below. You all really do help me keep this channel going. Now here's one to cheer you up. Here is the Tokyo 2020 Olympics medal tally up to now. And you'll see that using the traditional method of rankings using the number of gold medals won by each country, that China is out in front with 36. The USA is second with 31. Japan is in third place with 24, and Team GB is in fourth place with 18, followed by the laundered Russian team, the Russian Olympic Committee, with 17 golds. The EU teams of Italy, Germany, the Netherlands and France are all in 7th to 10th place respectively. And the pro-EU rejoiners watching this will be sneering at me saying, "So what?" To which I reply, if Team GB was at the bottom, we'd never hear the last of it from the Ramonas. But it gets better. That arch-EU federalist whose answer to absolutely everything is more Europe, one Guy Verhofstadt, says that the EU should be placed at the top of the table as all the EU countries put together had won more medals than anyone else. Well, that can't be done, of course. You have to be a recognised nation-state to do that. And remember that the EU Commission had its request for the team of the current 6-month presidency holder, Slovenia, to also carry the EU flag as well as its own national flag during the opening ceremony, had that request turned down by the International Olympic Committee. But as the EU is almost a nation-state, what with its own flag, anthem, currency, central bank, executive, semi-legislature, and soon to have full finance ministers and its own army, then maybe in the future. But that would come with drawbacks. None of their single EU team could carry the flag of their local council, former nation state, or sing their anthem. It would be ode to joy or nothing. Also, participating countries are limited to 3 athletes per event. In the current Olympics, those EU member states in 7th to 10th places, Italy, Germany, the Netherlands and France, were eligible to enter a total of 12 athletes per event. But in future, they would have to compete to see which 3 of the 12 could represent the European Union. Now that would dent their medal-winning chances and slide them right down the table. So what's your opinion on electric-powered cars and Guy Verhofstadt? Please like and comment below.